Last week I published a review of the new Galaxy Watch Ultra on this channel. This watch is particularly interesting for athletes and outdoor enthusiasts. However, of course, there has also been a release of a new regular Galaxy Watch, this time the Galaxy Watch7, which is sometimes forgotten amidst all the hype surrounding the new Galaxy Watch Ultra. But the Watch 7 costs only about half as much as the Ultra and still offers many exciting new features. With the new multiband GPS, the energy score and more, there are some very interesting things for us athletes as well. But does all this make the Galaxy Watch 7 finally a good sports watch? As always, I put it through its paces and of course I roar it during all of my workouts. You'll find out everything you need to know about the watch in this video. So let's get started and have fun. If you already had the Galaxy Watch 6 from last year, you won't really be surprised by the Galaxy Watch 7 because at least from the outside not much has changed. The watch still comes in two different case sizes with diameters of 40 and 44 mm, and here you can see the larger variant. You can also choose between a simple Bluetooth version or an LTE version, which allows you to make calls and send messages without a smartphone connection. However, I opted for the simple Bluetooth version. Depending on the version, the watch costs somewhere between $300 and $380. In the larger 44mm version that I also have here, the watch is 9.7mm thick, making it super thin and flat overall. It's slightly thicker than the Watch 6 from last year, but significantly thinner than other smartwatches and especially classic sports watches. For example, here you see the Garmin Epix Pro in the 51mm version, and here you also see the Galaxy Watch Ultra. At 33.8 grams, it's also very light, with the smaller version weighing just 28.8 grams. The watch comes in various color combinations. For example, there is this green variant with a metallic green case and a dark green band, which I personally find very nice. Additionally, there is a cream option in the smaller version and silver option in the larger one. The standard package includes this sports band and you get a fabric band as a free bonus, though I haven't received mine yet. But the sports band is also pretty nice, it's very soft and comfortable to wear, and as I said, I generally really like the color. But if you don't like it, you can quickly remove the band and swap it with any other 20mm band, unlike the Galaxy Watch Ultra, which uses its own system. Material-wise, the watch is made of aluminum just like last year, but unlike the Ultra or the Pro version from 2 years ago, which used titanium, or the classic version from last year with its stainless steel case. Aluminum is generally the least durable of these materials, but also the lightest. The construction is also quite simple and the display isn't additionally protected, so if we compare it to the Ultra again, the Watch 7 does seem a bit less robust and durable. But as I said, it is also significantly lighter and I also find it more comfortable to wear and, to be honest, more beautiful. For screen protection, the Watch 7 also uses sapphire glass, which is particularly scratch and break resistant. The watch is tested to military standard 810H and is water resistant up to 5 ATM, so you can swim with it. However, I would advise against diving. One small but nice difference compared to the Watch 6 in terms of design is that the aluminum case is now continuous and circling the watch entirely, whereas previously, as we can see here, it was made of two parts. I think this adds a certain aesthetic appeal and makes the watch look better. So design-wise, I have no complaints, the watch is very well made and in my opinion a very beautiful smartwatch. For operation, we again have the same two buttons on the side of the case, and unlike the classic versions, there is no rotating bezel, but we can still use the digital bezel on the display. This now works very well, but personally I still prefer the rotating bezel of the classic versions. Other than that, operation is very smooth and fast. I haven't noticed any delays, and Samsung promises a 3-fold performance increase with the new 3nm Exynos W1000 processor. But honestly, I didn't have any issues with the watch last year either, so the Watch 6 and Watch 6 Classic were very fast for me, though it might be true that apps open a few milliseconds faster now. The display in the larger 44mm version is 1.5 inches in size with a resolution of 480x480 pixels and reaches a peak brightness of 2000 nits. Of course, there is also an always on mode, and overall the display is again very impressive. It's very bright, high contrast and sharp. Let's move on to the main part of this video, the sports, fitness and training features. At first glance, there isn't much new in training mode. The Galaxy Watch Ultra now finally has a multi-sport mode for triathletes, but unfortunately this is still missing in the Watch 7. However, this isn't such a big issue because you can create a workout routine and manually select running, cycling and swimming, effectively setting up a multi-sport mode and naming it triathlon. Other than that, the usual training features are available here. You can set goals for your training, such as a specific duration, distance or calories burned for running. A new feature is Race, where a virtual ghost based on your past performances competes against you as additional motivation. There is an auto lap feature where you can set the lap distance yourself, an auto pause function that pauses the workout when you stop moving, such as at a traffic light, and the watch can calculate heart rate zones based on your maximum heart rate, which you can also customize. The watch can also provide audio feedback. You can also customize which data is displayed during workouts, and you can select this individually for each sport. The watch can display up to 7 data fields at once. For example, when running, you can choose from calories, duration, time, heart rate, including average and maximum heart rate, distance, pace, steps, altitude, lap statistics, and more. There is a wide range of options, even though you have to forgo some of the more advanced metrics like running power in watts, which some traditional sports watches offer. However, some more exciting statistics are still calculated in the background and can be viewed after your workouts. Here you'll see your route when running and the usual statistics including some graphs, and further down you'll find advanced running metrics like asymmetry, flight time and vertical oscillation. This is definitely not a given for a smartwatch. The watch also includes a running coach. You can select different variants or goals, such as the endurance running coach, where you'll see the effort level and the exact workout schedule, and the watch will guide you accordingly. You can add more options through the app, where you can also find muscle workouts, meditation exercises and more, which you can also be guided through via the watch. For cyclists, a nice new feature is the ability to calculate your FTP value. FTP stands for Functional Threshold Power. This is the maximum power in watts that can be maintained on a bike for 1 hour. This value can be very useful for planning your cycling sessions. Various tests can be used to determine this value, but they usually take at least 10 minutes. However, Samsung promises to do it in just 4 minutes, but a Samsung smartphone is required to do this, which I unfortunately don't have. And in general, the watch is only compatible with Android smartphones and not with iPhones, and some of the features, like the FTP value for example, can only be used with Samsung Galaxy smartphones. More on that later. If we consider the watch as a sports watch, it's clear that it lacks options for long-term training analysis. Brands like Garmin, Polar, Suunto and Coros, for example, show how your training affects your long-term development, the stimuli you are setting, and whether you are overtraining or undertraining. The Galaxy Watch 7 doesn't offer any of this. Another feature that this watch lacks in comparison to classic sports watches is the ability to connect to external sensors. So you can't connect chest straps, power meters, or cadence sensors for cycling to the Galaxy Watch 7, which might be a major drawback to some athletes. However, a new feature is the so-called energy score. This one shows how much energy you have for the day ahead, similar to a battery on a scale from 0 to 100, with a breakdown of the various contributing factors. For example, if you slept poorly, you'll have less energy available, just as you would after intense training sessions or high stress in recent days. This is somewhat similar to Garmin's body battery feature. However, the significant difference is that Garmin's value continuously updates. So here you might wake up with a value of 90, do several workouts and see the value decrease throughout the day. With the Galaxy Watch 7, this value is only updated once per day in the morning. So you see how ready you are for the day in the morning, but you can't track this energy score throughout the day. So yeah, this feature is quite useful and it's a nice addition, but it's not fully thought through. The energy score largely depends on your sleep, which the watch of course can analyze once again. It gives you a sleep score between 0 and 100, shows your sleep duration, specific sleep times, and the breakdown of different sleep phases. The watch can also detect snoring and provide additional statistics like blood oxygen saturation, heart rate variability, and skin temperature. Additionally, the so-called age index is calculated overnight, which is an indicator of your metabolic fitness, reflecting your biological aging process. Using the bioactive sensor, you can also perform a body analysis, which shows metrics like body fat percentage and muscle mass. All of these features, so the age index, the body analysis, and also the sleep analysis, should be taken with a grain of salt, because while they can definitely provide an overview, I wouldn't rely on them 100% because it's just very difficult to measure all these things on the wrist. I'm less skeptical about the other more traditional health data. The watch can of course still track things like steps, calories, or activity time, displaying these familiar heart-shaped progress bars. You can also measure and log your stress level and of course track your heart rate, which we will talk about in detail later down this video. You can find an overview of all these daily fitness data in the Samsung Health app, available both on your smartphone and on the watch. Here you can delve deeper into individual data fields. Two other health features are also ECG and blood pressure monitoring. The Galaxy Watch 7 can theoretically measure both, but unfortunately these features are only available with a Galaxy smartphone, as I mentioned earlier. Nevertheless, the fitness and health features for your everyday life are very impressive on the Galaxy Watch 7, and in this regard the watch doesn't need to hide from anyone. Even compared to traditional sports watches, the watch can not only keep up but sometimes even surpasses these watches in this regard. What good is a feature-rich watch if you can't rely on its data? This is a question you should always consider before buying a smartwatch or sports watch, because it is also crucial that the sensors are accurate. One of the most central statistics is the heart rate, because many other statistics ultimately rely on it. The Galaxy Watch 7 has been equipped with a new sensor to measure heart rate, the same one used in the Galaxy Watch Ultra. But how accurately can it measure heart rate? To test this, once again I recorded all of my training sessions with both the watch and a chest strap at the same time, and then afterwards I compared both datasets. Here you can see the data for one of my running sessions. The data from the chest strap is in red and from the Galaxy Watch 7 in blue. And yeah, there really is nothing to complain about here. Both curves are almost identical, and the rise and fall of my heart rate at the beginning and end were tracked very accurately by the watch. The average heart rate differs by less than 1 beat per minute compared to the chest strap. For strength training, Samsung doesn't offer the option to export heart rate data, so I can only show you this comparison of the two datasets. Tracking strength training is much more difficult in general, yet the watch did a surprisingly good job. The average heart rate according to the chest strap was 106, while the watch recorded 108, and the maximum heart rate was 143 according to the chest strap and 136 according to the watch. With most other smartwatches and even sports watches, the maximum heart rate is often much further off, and I have to say that I also noticed during my workouts that the watch was better at keeping up with the rapid changes in my heart rate than most other watches. Overall, I was definitely satisfied with the heart rate accuracy. In addition to heart rate accuracy, GPS accuracy is also crucial, especially for outdoor sports. I had some issues with this on the Galaxy Watch 5 and 6. Fortunately, the Galaxy Watch 7 now has a new dual frequency GPS, meaning it can capture two different satellite signal bands at the same time, specifically the L1 and L5 band. This is something we first saw with the Ultra, which came out at the same time as the Galaxy Watch 7, and I was very pleasantly surprised that we also have it on the regular Galaxy Watch now. In some of my previous tests, I could already show that the dual frequency GPS or multiband GPS in general is a tad more accurate than the regular GPS, so let's see if this also positively affects the performance of the Galaxy Watch 7. Well, unfortunately, not really. Here you can see one of my usual running routes. At first glance, this might look okay, but in some places, like here in the forest, or here, or for example also here, there were some inaccuracies, and in some parts the track even goes through buildings, which obviously wasn't the case. I have seen worse results, but definitely better ones too. In another test, I walked the exact same path back and forth on a narrow forest trail, so ideally the two tracks should overlap perfectly. And again, this was also only moderately accurate. Again, I have seen worse, but the watch didn't track it perfectly. Here you can see in black the Galaxy Watch Ultra and in green the Garmin Fenix 7 Pro for the same test, which are both definitely more accurate. So while the GPS accuracy is okay, it's certainly not the biggest strength of the Galaxy Watch 7. Speaking of GPS, it's also worth mentioning that the Galaxy Watch 7 does not offer navigation features during your workouts. On the Galaxy Watch Ultra you can load routes onto the watch and navigate during your workouts, but unfortunately this is not possible with the Galaxy Watch 7. So you can use Google Maps for navigation, but as mentioned, there is no route guidance during workouts, which is a shame, especially for outdoor athletes. This is another aspect that sets the watch apart from traditional sports watches. Lastly, let's address a significant issue that might be the elephant in the room: battery life. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I mainly test sports watches, and if you're used to those watches as well, the battery lives of the Galaxy watches might seem ridiculous. But let's break it down. The Galaxy Watch 7 in the larger 44mm version has a 425 mAh battery. Samsung claims that the watch can last up to 30 hours with normal use and always on display enabled, and up to 40 hours without always on. But what exactly does normal use mean? To give you a better understanding, I'll show you how the battery life holds up on a typical day during my testing phase. Here I fully recharged the watch in the morning, so I started this test with 100%. Then I ran for a run for half an hour, after which the watch still had 85%. Next I spent 40 minutes in the gym and the battery level afterwards was 80%. Then I completed the GPS test in the forest, which I just told you about. This took another half hour and the watch then had 72% left. After that I only used the watch in my daily life, but I also recorded a few things for this video, so I used it quite intensively. Before going to bed the watch still had 25%. Then of course I tracked my sleep and had to find out the next morning that the watch didn't make it through the night. It had actually already turned off not even 24 hours after I had charged it. Of course, one could say that this day might not represent a completely normal usage scenario, as I recorded a good 1.5 hours of training, which doesn't happen every day, but at the same time it must be said that I actually configured the watch settings to be as battery friendly as possible. So I turned off the always on mode even during training, the brightness was set to automatic, I disabled the automatic workout detection, and I only had the heart rate measured every 10 minutes during the day, so not continuously. Nevertheless, the watch didn't even last 24 hours, which was a real disappointment. So yes, you could get through a day with the watch if you perhaps go out running for at most 45 to 60 minutes, but if you want to hike for 3 hours for example, this will probably not be possible, and that is of course a significant decisive difference from classic sports watches. So what can we conclude about the new Samsung Galaxy Watch 7? First, let me say something I always mention in my smartwatch reviews, because whenever I review smartwatches, I am primarily concerned with how well they suit athletes. So I intentionally leave out the smart features and things like this, because I'm sure there are thousands of videos covering this topic out there, and this is just not my main focus on this channel. So, how well does the Galaxy Watch 7 perform as a sports watch? Well, as in previous years, I'd say it's only moderately suitable. The watch offers a wide range of features, especially with many impressive health features. Additionally, it's very comfortable to wear, thin, light, and in my opinion quite stylish. On the other hand, it still lacks several features that athletes might need. There are no real widgets for long-term training analysis, you can't connect external sensors to the watch like chest straps for example, there is no navigation during training, and the battery life is still pretty bad. If these factors don't really matter to you, then the Galaxy Watch 7 might still be worth considering for athletes. Otherwise, maybe take a look at the Galaxy Watch Ultra, which I've also reviewed in detail on my channel. I will also be posting a comparison video between these two watches in a few days, so if you don't want to miss that and much more, make sure to subscribe to this channel, which is quick, easy and free of course. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, you could really support me and my work here by giving this video a quick thumbs up. Also feel free to share your thoughts on the Galaxy Watch 7 in the comment section down below. But for now, thanks a lot for watching and see you next time.